everybody. Welcome back to Alicyn's Wonderland, the show that takes you inside the world of animation and video games. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am so excited to sit down with Ezra Weisz. Ezra is a multi-hyphenate talented person, human being. He is, first of all, a director, as well as a voice actor, as well as a multi-marathon runner in his free time, of which he has very little. But Ezra is also such a lovely and inspiring person. He's a content creator here on Instagram and TikTok that absolutely loves the fans and is constantly giving back and constantly creating amazing content and taking people inside the world of what it's like to be a director for Miraculous Ladybug. We're here and we're going to go ahead and add Ezra and get right into it. Ezra!
Right.
How are you?
I'm great. What a great intro to your entire interview podcast, Alicyn. Wonderful.
That's right. It's so glad to have you here. You know, you're one of the few guests that is on, not for the first time, but the second time.
I know. I was thinking that too, which is a huge honor and would love to do it like every season. Let me come back every season. It's so much fun to talk with you, Alicyn.
Totally. You're one of our, yeah, you're like our, it's good for us to check in. You're just like, you know how the news has like those, I don't even know what you call it, like uh commentator? You're like our commentator. You're a
Yeah.
commentator.
Yeah,
Come on and make the world a brighter place.
that's right.
Yeah. So by the way, congratulations on finishing the LA Marathon just a couple weeks ago.
Thank you so much. It was a month ago, almost to the day, and the LA Marathon, it's a great event, obviously, because it brings all areas of Los Angeles together, runners that are all in the surrounding areas, as well as it's an international race. So it's just so great to be around so many people that have made a commitment to healthier living and exercising and making goals and achieving them, which can apply to any aspect of anybody's lives. But particularly it was nice because over the past few years, the LA Marathon has been building back since the pandemic. So now the numbers are back where there are so many people to make it a very exciting event. And I am a Los Angeles Marathon, at least I was for 2023, a Los Angeles Marathon ambassador. So I was very happy to represent other runners within our community and do a lot of outreach, a lot of social media posting, a lot of meetups with other runners. I love to do that in my running community, and I love to do that in the voiceover community as well.
That's amazing. How many marathons was this for?
This was marathon number 40. I think it was 46. I think it was marathon number 46, but I did hear in your first round, your little dress rehearsal of getting your podcast going. I know you had some audio issues, so we did a restart, everybody. Shh, don't tell. But I am also an ultra marathoner. I have done a dozen ultra marathons as well, which is any distance beyond 26.2 miles. But there are ultra marathon distance races, and I have done those. I've done a 50K as well, a number of those.
And I think that really speaks to your commitment. And I feel like it's kind of how you do one thing is how you do everything. And the way you rise up as a runner in your humble commitment, and also through your teaching, your martial art teaching that you do, I'm really inspired by that because number one, the consistency over time. You have this ability to just keep going, even when it goes hard, and it's not just seasonal; it's there.
Yeah.
And number two, I'm really impressed with your ability to help others through your service. I think that's really amazing.
That's the part that I love the most is when I'm able to help others. And I can see that the help is received because there's some people, you can offer up advice, you can give people opportunities, and it just kind of really misses the mark. But when it hits the target and that person like takes or listens to what it's not that they're listening to what you said, It's that they're hearing the advice that was presented and then they can apply it to their own life. And then they do, and then they start to begin to see some positive changes in their life. There's been so many voiceover talent that are currently working right now that I have met at an anime convention when they're like, hey, I really want to get started with voiceover work. And I know that you know this, Alicyn. You're out there quite often at the convention circuit and you meet a lot of your fans. And they're always asking, I'm sure, asking you because they admire you and they see the outreach that you have. How can I get started? And we provide advice. We give like substantial quality advice for people to start, how to start. And a lot of times people are like, okay, great. And then they walk away and you're like, well, that might not never go anywhere. But then we do meet some of the people who now are saying, hey, I've been working. And thanks to you and what you told me when we met, I took that advice and I started my career. So I love that is the most satisfying feeling is when a runner says, I did not believe in myself that I could run a marathon or a half marathon. But when you told me after the run that day that you thought I could and I should adjust this or that, or I need to like have this kind of routine, totally took that to heart. And I cannot believe I'm here today. And I just have this medal around my neck.
Wow. See, guys,
See?
you can do anything.
You really can. You really can do anything if it's the thing that inspires you to keep doing that thing because you just can't like do it right away. It takes a lot of like, anyone can run a marathon, but can anyone wake up every morning on a Saturday for 6 months at 6 a.m. to then go run for 2 or 3 hours? Maybe 2 or 3 weekends you can.
Yeah.
But what about beyond that? Like, where's your commitment to the goal that you want?
And yeah, it's again that over time, that commitment over time, and
Yeah,
what can unfold when you start being the person that has the life that you want.
that's
Being
right.
before you become it, even before the results are there, you'll find that many times on this journey in life, we're following this path. And then when we get to the destination, we instantly set a new path for ourselves. And so it's so important to kind of take inventory and enjoy the road as we go.
Yeah. That absolutely. But you got to find the thing. You got to get in the car the vehicle that you're most comfortable in to then go on that journey. And that would be, your what hopefully becomes your profession and your livelihood.
So Ezra, how did you get involved in Miraculous? Did you have any knowledge of the project before you started working
No
for it?
knowledge at all. So working, I was working at a studio in Burbank. And while I was at that studio, I started to work on, I think it was my very first original animation project.
Okay.
And I know that everybody that you interview and people who follow your Alicyn's Wonderland podcast, they are very familiar with what original animation is. But for those of you who just do not know, it's when there's no picture. You just get a script and the actors have to perform off of that script and the performance that comes from those voice actors are given to the animators, and then the animators will animate the emotion on the character's face and the action in their bodies, and they will then base the entire animation off of the performance that the voiceover artists are giving.
Another term they use is prelay.
Freelance
So
as well.
majority of animation is usually prelay, with the exception of that which is dubbed.
Of everything else, which is dubbed. Exactly. So a lot of anime is dubbed, except for those voice actors in Japan who are doing it in the original language, then it is prelay. So I started to work on this one series, and it is currently on Netflix still, and it's called Popples. And Popples is
Popples. Like
mhm,
the old Popples back in the 80s.
exactly right.
I
So
love
Popples, me too. Popples were adorable, and they were within the same graduating class as Care Bears and Smurfs. And they were, just another toy that they had a cartoon based off of. And a Popples was like a cute little bear creature that rolled in on itself, like in its belly pocket, and it rolled into a ball. So you can kind of play with the ball and roll the ball that was fuzzy and furry. And then you could unroll it and you had a snuggly critter friend that you loved and adored. So they brought back Popples, and I was directing the prelay on Popples with an amazing cast. And it wasn't until way after that I realized that that was a Jeremy Zag animation production, which is also Miraculous Ladybug. So whether they liked what I did with Popples or not, I'm not going to even say they liked it. They started a relationship with dubbing brothers. And since they said, "Oh, you did our other project and we trust the work that you did there," we have another show that we've been sort of bopping around to different other studios, and they aren't available to do it right now, or they're not interested to take it right now. What about you, dubbing brothers? Do you want to do it? And then they presented it to me, and we had to, talk all about what does it mean? What do I have to do? Um, and they said, "Okay, so here's this series. Let's get to work on it." I said, "Okay, let's get to work on it." And that was Miraculous Ladybug.
Wow.
And then I assembled the cast of characters, although Christina V and Bryce Papenbrook and Keith Silverstein were all already cast. So they knew they loved those voices. They were just now finding the right studio to do the project.
Amazing. And so, could you tell from the pilot that it was a magical franchise?
Um, I could tell from the pilot that the animation looked different than what I had seen. I could tell that there was something incredibly special about it because this show had characters that had like feelings of love for one another. I could tell that um, there was this sort of element of Spider-Man, Superman, sort of, hidden identity, be a hero within yourself, but in that adolescent space, which I thought was really amazing. But no, Alice, I had no clue that it was going to be the juggernaut that it is. I had no clue. Christina V felt something super special about that character. She's like, "I don't know what it was. I was going to do whatever it took. I just knew that was the right character for me. I auditioned. Um, I knew I wanted that. I would do it for no money. I just knew I wanted that part." And we were like, "Wow, all right, great." And because I guess she already she's one of those internet sleuthy types, right? So she's in touch with conversations and message boards and other servers where they're talking about stuff that go beyond Twitter. So she knew that there was something special about this character and this show. I mean, we're all surprised that it is as popular globally as it is. Nobody expected that.
So, at what point did the show really start gaining traction?
Right away.
Had it aired was it a simul dub or it was already airing in France prior?
It was on in France. It was on the Disney Channel, and and that gave it great visibility and access. Um, and in the United States, it was on Nickelodeon for the first season, which was kind of a sleeper. People were like, "What is this show? I don't know this animation style. This seems different." But again, the big catch on the show is the romance. The first thing that made most people fall in love with the show is Marinette is so clumsy and kooky, and I identify with who that is. And I feel also a little bit out of place when there's somebody that I like and I have feelings for them, but I can't express myself properly. That voice really spoke with the fandom, I believe, at first. The character design of the hero with the polka dots, the red suit, the mask, the hair, is powerful It's comfortable for cosplayers. It's somewhat easy to do. It's not like a big elaborate anime, gown or,
Sure.
it doesn't have massive swords. It doesn't
See wig, really.
have tails. Right. So I think, and it's striking.
Mhm.
It's striking. Like if you were to see Spider-Man on the street, you're like, oh, the red, the black dots, you know what I mean? The blue hair. Very, very cool. And I was also surprised at how the fandom was like so in love with the Cat Noir character.
Yeah.
So that's sort of just visually, that was the first appeal. And that was gaining in popularity. But the show completely exploded when fans of the show started to talk about what their favorite ship would be about. Because instead of like a normal show where you're like, oh, Jane likes Billy and I put Jane and Billy together, you're like, well, Jane is also a superhero and Billy is also a superhero. So I like Jane with the boy super, like this love square developed.
Uh-huh.
And that made people talk. And when people could talk and sort of, you know, voice their opinion or stand behind a relationship that they liked, even though they're all the same relationship, it's the same two people, Alicyn. It helped build the fandom. So let's say you and I are at lunch at school and we're talking about this show and no one's ever heard of it and we're passionate about it. And we're like, oh my gosh, no, 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 this is the greatest ship. Oh no, she likes him, but I like it when they're, and then all of a sudden people are like listening to, what are you talking about? Like, oh, it's a show that we watch. Like, well, I guess I got to check that show out.
By
So I feel like it's,
which is your favorite ship?
my favorite ship, is Ladybug and Adrian.
Ah,
And and the fandom, Alicyn, the fandom really comes strong for me about that because the fandom's favorite ship is Marinette and Cat Noir. That's their favorite ship. Like it's overwhelming. If you ever do a survey or you ask most of them, they'll be like, Marinette and Cat Noir. That's their favorite. And the one that I love the most is the one that ranks the least. Like people are like, oh, such a, what do you, that's so lame. Don't even. But I'm telling you, I have gone through debates time and time again to express my opinion. And by the time I'm done with my reasoning, people go, oh my gosh, yeah, I totally see why that's probably the best ship. Yes, that's probably the best ship. But they still love Marinette when she's kind of clumsy and goofy, with Cat Noir when he's in his superhero sort of flirty and he's full of puns and he's adorable. So they like that combination.
amazing.
And also, I can't believe I know that so much about the show in that way. Like I know so much of what other miraculars are talking about. But as you mentioned earlier, I do really, really enjoy engaging with the culture of the show because the humanity behind all of it, the people that are there, is what means the most to me. That helping and that acknowledging people who feel like in other circles in their life they are not seen, they are not appreciated. That means so much to me when I feel that my seeing them is received by them as well. In fact, I have these letters from Pen Pal, right? I have a PO box and I open it up so that if anybody needs to express the joy of the show, the love of the cast, or just the hardships in their own personal life, and they want to have it be received by somebody who is attached to a show that means so much to them, I keep my PO box door wide open for them. And my PO box is linked in my bio if anybody wants to ever send me a message. And I've had some, a parent has passed away, a parent is dealing with illness. I'm feeling very displaced at college and lonely. The show has helped me get through some difficult, dark times. I'm going through a difficult, dark time right now, and I really appreciate your engagement and the show. Like all of that means a lot to me. And that's why everybody else in my world look at me like, why are you like so engaged with that show? Like, because of the people. It's because of the people. It's how that show reaches those people.
Now, On June 1st of this year, you announced that you are going to voice an unknown character in the movie.
I did? I should shut my mouth. Did I really? No, I didn't. I did. It's true. It's true. It just, wait, when was it? What month was it?
I believe June 1st,
June of the last year?
2022.
My,
A year ago, June.
well, I voiced that character and I voiced a few others. All right, let me tell you what happens.
What can you tell us? Dish. Getting the real here, folks.
Okay. All right. When we were working through the early developments of the show, of this movie, not even the show, forget the show. It's not the seasons. We're talking about the film. That's the question, right? That you brought up was for the film.
Mhm.
Um, they're always making adjustments, improvements, enhancements to the script because it's all about that story. I mean, if the story doesn't hold, then how are we going to have an outreach for a new audience? We know that the fans of the show are going to be the fans of the show and they're going to show up. But we want this movie to be a success, period. Not even if you don't even know the movie or the characters.
Mhm.
So they're always making adjustments. And sometimes we would have sessions where I was the only person in the studio with the engineer and everyone else was doing things remotely. And,
Because you
and
pandemic.
right. And Jeremy Zag is the number one director of this movie. He's put in so much energy and so much time. And I am his very willing assistant to do whatever needs to be done to continue to direct when he's busy with the composition and he's having to direct all of the musicians with the composer, or he's working at other studios around the world with other animators. So when there's things to be done, he's on a Zoom session. And then after we do whatever needs to be done with, let's say, Cat Noir or Ladybug, and their remote session is over, they're like, Ezra, there is this journalist, or there is this bus driver, or there is this person in the park who has this one line or has these three lines. Why don't you do that? Okay. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, you go ahead, you do it. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So then I go in the booth and he listens to me record them. And he's like, oh, that's so great. Let's use them. Let's keep them. Ezra, that's great. Let's keep them. I'm like, really? Amazing. 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 Right. As you would probably feel also, you'd be like, that's amazing. Well, now that we are at a phase of entering like the final push, and I'm watching rough versions of the movie, rough meaning it's not polished and it's not done. We're still like in a place where we can manipulate it, move some pegs around, right? I hear my voice in it too much. And I have recast myself because I don't want my voice to be in it. I want my voice to be in it, but I don't want it to be in it a lot because that's not great. Even though it was very, very flattering for for me to be, this character and then that character. By the way, some of those were just place markers, right? I was just holding a spot, delivering a line so the animators can have a preliminary recording. But then I'm like, wait a minute, we never got a chance to record that with another actor. So I would have to quickly cast, present, and then record and remove myself from the movie. but
Feeling it.
there's a little bit of ego, right? There's a little bit of ego that's like, hey, I'm in it all the time. That's great. And then there's like, no, it's got to be for the greater good. You can't, it's just not right for you to be in it so much, Ezra. So there have been several characters that I have removed myself because I want to be in it, but I don't want to be in it a lot. I want to be in it like everybody else.
And when voice actors loop a movie, usually they'll provide For those that aren't familiar, in an animated movie, we will usually provide the background, characters, voices, as well as individual little small characters that haven't already been cast. So, like in Toy Story 4, I was the GPS and a bunch of the little toys, but they have us do different voices and they have a group of usually about 8 people
Yeah.
so that that problem doesn't happen. So maybe, you'll use this voice. Oh, well, that's fine. You just be like a cute little toy. And so
Yeah.
you do all these, be like a little girl or whatever, and they have you do all these different things so that it avoids that problem of being like, hey, wasn't that guy that just played the bank teller?
That's right.
Bank teller
And,
sounds just like a cop.
right. And these were all characters that definitely had a moment to shine, even if it was one line. Even if it was, and this is not in the movie, I'm just stating an example. So nobody think that this is any version from the movie, but it was like, hey kid, look out. Right? Even if it was like a hey kid, look out kind of line, it was a close up when we got to see the movie. So I hear my voice and I see my face, a different face of the
Wouldn't
character
it
that's animated.
be funny if it did look like you, though?
I wish.
He
Oh my
did
God.
in the movie.
I wish. That would be so amazing.
Cool.
That only happened. The only time I think that really happened that I know of was Christina V. She was animated in the New York special. They used her image to render one of the characters.
Wow, that's amazing.
But anyway, so I do get to voice a character. You will hear me
Uh-huh.
in there. You'll hear me more than once, but you will hear me. And I cannot say who it is, obviously,
Mhm.
but I can tell you that I was directed by Jeremy for that, and it has a lot of let's say slapstick or I know that you're familiar, but for those of your audience that might not be familiar with the term slapstick, it is whenever there's like um physical comedy that looks like it might hurt, right? Like a character falling down stairs, or let's just say, they get full on catapult across the sky and they land in a big pile of, hay or worse. All that humor that involves just a little bit of physical harm, my character has some of that, which was really fun for me because I love to do silly sounds with my voice, which is how I started doing voiceover for doing Power Ranger fights. So
Uh-huh.
I have to use like m- physicality, humor, and my voice all together.
While we're on the subject of how you got started, can you take us back to the early days of your voice acting career and tell us how you got your start?
Well, I was a theater major from California Institute of the Arts, and I was doing a play and a big family outdoor play. And while I was in the middle of the show, in the audience had people from the local Santa Clarita area and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Saban Studios. They had their one of their sound stages and all of their audio facilities in Santa Clarita. So their um their audio director was there with his family watching the show. And he came over to me. He's like, you were really funny. I loved all the characters that you did because I got to do multiple characters, big energy, really wild. And apparently I made him laugh. And he's like, do you ever do any voiceover work? And I lied and I said yes. And he said, great, well, come and do some Power Rangers for me. Here's the number and call the assistant and we'll get you scheduled and we'll put you in the next episode. I was like, great. 24 years old and
Wow.
or 23 years old. And I was very, very excited about that. So that was my very first step. And I would call that the pebble in the water. And then the ripples just kind of started from there.
Yeah,
I've got
that's a great.
more projects and more people.
Johnny Young Bosch also got his start on Power Rangers.
Yep.
A lot of people coming from that franchise.
Yep.
And you also do audience warm up, or you have in the past. Are you working on warming up any shows at the moment?
I wish. I love audience warm ups so much, Allison. I love to make people laugh, entertain them
Yeah.
through laughter. So it's not like I have jokes. I'm not a stand up comedian by any means, but I like to create laughter in the environment and just sort of let people drop their guard and start to smile a little bit. And I usually do that by acting the fool, being the silly person, being the one who's the most excited. And at an audience taping, when you're watching one of your favorite sitcoms, we know that everybody's excited to be there. It's Hollywood. Most of the people are visiting from another state or another country, but they're all being kind of they're told to behave, right? Like take your seat, be here on time. You have to ask us if you need to go to the restroom. You can't go when they're shooting. Like everyone has to follow the rule, right? So I'm the one who acts the most childish and gets to show everyone how excited I am to do my job. And then they start to feel a little bit more relaxed and that they can start to feel excitement as well. And I love that job. Currently, I don't have a show because most of the shows that I would work on were Disney Channel or Nickelodeon shows, and they don't have a live audience yet, not until everything really calms down with COVID. So we all know that the world is very much back, but it's not back fully. And all of those shows have young actors, and we have to be very, very careful around any of our younger performers. So
Absolutely.
strict, they have strict requirements and guidelines for that. And it's just so much easier to not have an audience of 200 or 300 people breathing and laughing and screaming, which is my job to make them breathe and laugh and scream. Um, and, just my job is to take the audience and take the energy I can get from their audience and fill the whole soundstage and warm up the space so that the performers that are going to be filming feel like they are the greatest stars in the world. And that whatever they do, this audience thinks it's hilarious. And whenever they come out, everyone's screaming and cheering to see them. So they don't want to have all of that sort of mouth air happening inside.
Be gone, mouth air.
God, get healthier out there.
Away from the talent.
Yes.
Now, we got to work together on a really fun project that came out in January on Amazon Prime, Lupin the Third versus Cat's Eye.
Yes.
That was very exciting. Drop a note in the comments if anyone's seen Lupin the Third versus Cat's Eye on Amazon Prime. It was a movie that came out starring, of course, Lupin the Third, who we know, Tony Oliver is his voice actor, and that has been around for, gosh, how many years?
I think it's been like 20 plus years.
20 plus years. And Cat's Eye, which is an anime that was out as a sub only in the 80s, I believe, and a very cool crossover. And the Cat's Eye girls are amazing. They're kind of like the Charlie's Angels of anime, and they go and solve crimes and everything. So that was so much fun to work on as well.
I was determined to work with Alicyn on a project. Determined, everybody, because I know how amazing she is. I've listened to her credits. We've met each other many times. We've done this podcast before. I'm like, I have got to work. And I was like, I don't know when.
Yeah.
But over the summer, this project came up. And when I saw that there were these three, like you just said, Charlie's Angels type of sisters that need to work together, I'm like, okay, how can I assemble a power team? When I was watching it in the Japanese version in preparation for recording it, I thought, oh, this one is Alicyn for sure. Alicyn has this one. And then I'm like, who else? Oh, I know. Deneen Melody would be great as the younger sister because she's got such great energy. She's so spunky. She's the voice of Zoe from Miraculous Ladybug, and she plays a few Kwamis like Kalki and Mulo. And I'm like, oh, she would be perfect. And then I'm like, oh, well, this one would be perfect to also have Christina V, who's the voice of Miraculous Ladybug. So those were your three Cat's Eye sisters, was Alicyn, Christina V, and Deneen Melody. And they are phenomenal. And I hope so. And I cast them with the intent that if it should go to series and we finally do get a chance to dub the Cat's Eye series, which, like you mentioned, only has subtitles only, we have a powerhouse cast. So it was in a way hoping to sort of push the project along to a dub.
It would be
Uh,
amazing.
I would love it.
I've seen some clips that people have sent me on YouTube and some of the old stuff. And because it takes place in the 80s too, there's like a really cool 80s vibe. So seems like it wouldn't be too difficult to just even take what is already out there and dub it, you know?
I agree, yeah. So
But
everyone, if you have Amazon, watch it. It's on Amazon Prime.
Mhm.
It's called Lupin versus the Cat's Eye, and you'll hear so many voices that you know and love. So
Yeah.
watch it. It's a quick watch. The soundtrack is amazing. It's so jazzy and bubbly. It's filled with action.
It was funny because I was had interviewed Ryan Colt Levy on my podcast. We talked mainly about Chainsaw Man the week before and on Wednesday, and then our movie came out on Friday, and we had a bunch of scenes together we didn't even know.
Oh yes. So he is the detective that's trying to figure out who these Cat's Eye girls are. But he doesn't and he keeps talking to the sisters because the sisters, they have a coffee shop and they're of course cute and adorable and he's got a crush on them. And he doesn't realize it's very Miraculous Ladybug because he doesn't realize that they are the three women that he is trying to catch because they are good thieves. They're like Robin Hood, right? They
Right.
only their mission is to steal back from villains the things that they took. Except this guy that Ryan called Levy voices, he is their detective and he thinks that they are just thieves. Like so thieves need to be put in jail. So it's really super cute like that. Mistaken identities, always fun.
Yeah, so be sure to check that out. How has running and your meditation habits influenced directing?
Um, Stamina for sure. It can get pretty exhausting, as Alicyn knows. If she's in a studio and she has a 4 hour session, it's exhausting. You're done. You're tired by the end of 4 hours. But as the director, I'm working on the next session when Alicyn is done. So stamina for sure. It's definitely beneficial. Um, my meditation practicing Tai Chi is a version of my meditation. My running is also a version of my meditation. And it helps me with managing my patience and at times my lack thereof. And I never ever want to expose a lack of patience in my professional world. Only my close friends and unfortunately Sabrina and our kids, Sarah and Jacob, they get to hear me when I'm the most frustrated, but I don't choose to show that in my professional space because that's just not the right way to conduct oneself. So, but I am tried with my patients all the time. Sometimes it could be the individual person. They're just, they just for whatever reason. Let's say they have to always reschedule a session, or they're continually late and we lose 20 minutes, or they come in with um, a great deal of distraction already and they can't really focus on their work. And that's any age range, right? It's from the very young artists that I work with and I direct from 7 years old all the way up to the folks that are 70 years old. Um, I have the pressure of I got to get my work done, and at the same time, I have the humanity of I have to be understanding because people are people. So sometimes inside of me, my patience level kind of rise or fall, but my meditation work always helps me sort of stay even and optimistic and at times humorous. So if I'm not engaging with you, then it's it's either I'm upset with you, or I'm really just trying to be the best I can, not to be nasty.
Hmm. Good to know, guys. Now, for you've done both directing and voiceover, so you've been on both sides of the mic. Do you prefer one over the other?
Um, I I prefer directing, but the like I talked about earlier, there's a transparency I'll share with you and your audience. There is something really wonderful about you being attached to a project and a part that um, has visibility and has notoriety and has some version of success. That if I maintain my work as a director, I have less opportunities of auditioning for or even getting those roles. So I'm very, very proud of the characters that I voice. And I love to take those characters that I voice out to conventions and meet other people who love those characters that I voice. But my commitment to the profession of directing has increased over the years. So my opportunities to voice characters has definitely diminished.
Decrease.
And I miss that, the vanity and the ego of I voiced that character. Hey, look, there's that character that's on um, the poster or someone's T-shirt, or when you get to see your character or your toys, right? There's something that is as an actor and as a voice actor, it's really delightful. I'm overwhelmed with the opportunities that I have been given as a director. And I absolutely love it. That is what I do prefer doing the most. But I also kind of get a little bit of the FOMO when I see, a lot of my friends get another role and then get another role and then get another role. And they're these bigger and, more popular animated series or animes or films. And I'm like, I miss that too. But but I love what I do and I'm proud of the work that I do. It's just I've always been an actor, right? I told you I got a BFA in theater and I
Yeah.
started acting because I want to be seen, Allison. I love my work as audience warm up. I'm in front of an audience of people that are enjoying what I'm doing for them as a performer. And I love to be an MC and I love to do improv and I love to do theater. So there's that vanity part, that exposing of that's me that I miss out on. Even though my signature is very much on the work that I direct, but a good director stays out of the way and lets the performers shine.
And you're
And
such a lovely director to work with.
thank you.
You you really instill a lot of confidence and communicate everything that needs to be communicated with the project, the energy, the tone, what has happened in any scenes that we're dubbing that maybe were in between the last scene. And you're just a lovely human being. Your energy is so lovely and effervescent, and positive. It's almost like I think before I met you, I was like, is this guy really this nice and like positive and upbeat? And the more I've gotten to know you, the more I've been like, wow, what a gift. Yeah, I think your growth is such a gift.
Thank
So
you.
I
Thank
think
you.
any project's lucky to have you.
Thank you. I like to be involved as a director because that helps me set the tone and the space for everybody who comes in that are new to me and then we become friends or friendly, or that are already my friends from previous projects and we just maintain a friendship just like we've maintained. Our connection, our relationship and our friendship has been very organic. We're just two artistic souls that just kind of get the same message that we have, and we work in a similar way. We want to enjoy what we do and we enjoy what we do, and we want to share that. We want to invest and commit in a podcast, in a project, in our outreach when we go to conventions. We just really want to be present with everything that we're doing in a way that is continuing to give out
Yeah.
of ourselves. We're not like
And
vacuums people.
yeah, I sometimes like to just think of like visualize the whole world and like what it's going to take to raise the vibration, to heal anything that's unresolved and to uplift through creative expression by showing people what's possible by having the courage to do it myself and to inspire others to follow their creative pursuits, even when it seems that they are in vain, because at the end of the day, the joy is the reward of doing that thing, not how it will be received. But
Right.
we have to keep reminding ourselves over and over again we don't have to.
Mhm. It's
Light Cosplays said, please don't overwork yourself. It's funny. This has been coming up for me a lot lately. I was starting to get a little burnt out from just doing and going and going and auditions and this and that. And I've kind of pulled back a little bit to take more time to rest and enjoy. Like I used to never go out to lunch. I just, for years, just kind of was in this studio and I'm just getting so tired of it. Now I've been going out and having lunch
Yeah.
and I'm like, I think that actually that makes me a better performer when I'm not just, just absorbed in only the work, but I'm taking in inspiration from the outside world.
Yeah. Well, the way that I run a marathon and the way that I train is it's a method that's called the Galloway method because this coach, Jeff Galloway, came up with it.
Okay.
And it is you exert your energy at a pace that is fairly brisk and comfortable for you. So, a good jogging pace, but you don't have it's not sprinting, it's jogging. And you would jog for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes. And then you would walk for 1 minute and allow yourself to recover. So you're not constantly pressing on the gas the whole time. So you have these intervals of I'm giving some work, I'm giving some rest, I'm giving some work, I'm giving some rest. And that is you're constantly moving, but you feel like you're just not burning out all of your energy. You're able to kind of sustain yourself, which means you need repeated cycles of rest or less movement, like less energy movement. Um, and you start off very slow, like a half hour of doing that, a half hour of doing that. That's no big deal.
Right.
Um, and then you're like, okay, I can build that up to 45 minutes and then an hour and then 3 hours and however long it takes you to do the distance. It takes me a very long time. I'm not a fast runner, but I don't care about being a fast runner. I care about achieving my goals.
It took me 6 hours to run a marathon.
Yeah. Well, I'm very close to where you are. A little bit faster, but pretty close.
Faster. Wow. Well, I think we're all eagerly anticipating any more information that is coming out about the movie. What's the best source for fans? I mean, other than your Instagram, which obviously
Right.
everybody should go. If you're not already following Ezra, make sure that you follow him here, as well as TikTok, which is your handle just your name as well?
Same. Yeah. Just my name, Ezra Weisz, everywhere.
Um, so that's a great resource. Are there any other resources where they can get breaking news on the movie?
I would say to follow the Miraculous account, the official Miraculous Blue Check account that is on Instagram. They also have a lot of posts that are on Twitter. Sometimes the fandom grabs information and they are able to post things faster than the social media person at the official Miraculous account. So there are some amazing accounts, but there's just one I'm going to mention. I have so many people that I could mention, but let's just stick with one and make it easy for people. That account is Angrian Aggressed. So it's Angridn
That's funny.
Aggressed. And I'll tell you what, Kat, who's here right now, because I've seen a lot of her comments, she can type the user name in there for angry and aggressed. And people will see it and they can just follow it. But that is a very, very good source. She is somebody who she's an older miracular. So everything is very clearly vetted. And she has access and communications with people that are very much on the inside. And she knows information before I know information. So I would very much, if you're interested, follow their account and they post the most up to date stuff for product,
Okay.
the movie episodes, all the good stuff.
But either way, please wish Sabrina a happy birthday.
I will. Yes, Sabrina, who voices Natalie Sancour and Nadja Shamak on the show. She just celebrated her birthday on Sunday. So we're still in celebration mode for her.
Have you guys worked on other shows, or is this your first show working together?
Um, I have used Sabrina in several shows. She's very talented. She works on other shows without me. And those shows are so very good as well. They're like more adult live streaming dramas that are, about serial people doing terrible things.
Usually does.
Um, usually
um,
does. Usually does. But she's also, she is an on-camera actor as well. In fact, when I met her, she had just booked an incredible guest part on Beverly Hills 90210.
oh my
And she was working regularly on Saved by the Bell. And she had done guest spots on Criminal Minds, and she's done a bunch of commercials. And then really put all of her commitment into raising our kids and did the most phenomenal award-winning job at that and continues to still do so. And when the kids then started to go to school, she started to do more voiceover work because she was always very talented with voiceover and a talented photographer, an amazing writer. She writes plays, and she's currently in the middle of finalizing a new musical that she's working with two other writers.
God.
So she's very, very artistic
Well,
and a great poet. Yeah, very talented. Yeah, I'm very lucky.
I hope you guys had a good celebration.
Yeah, we did. Went out to a nice restaurant and everything. Yeah, it was great. Oh, and I know that this speaks to you, Miss Allison, because you are an inspiration. We remodeled our bathrooms.
I saw it looked great.
Thank you. And that was one of the big birthday presents for Sabrina. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I hate our bathrooms." I'm like, "I know, but let's wait until the kids go to college and then we'll renovate." And that's what we did. And now it's done. And now it's wonderful because it's just beautiful place to shower and do her makeup. And it's just a much lovelier space for her.
That's so great. It seemed like it happened really quick too. You were asked for hi, and the next thing I knew, it was done.
It was,
So I'm glad.
uh, I think it took maybe 6 weeks ish.
Oh, that's not bad at all. That's great.
Sure. Mhm.
Yeah, sometimes those projects stretch out.
Oh, they sure did. Well, we've been working on the Miraculous Ladybug movie since before the pandemic.
Oh yeah,
If you want to talk,
bathroom was like this.
yeah, we're like that. When we first started working on the film, which I know a lot of people are still very interested in, it was before the pandemic. We had Jeremy, and we had Michael Gracie, we had other script supervisors, voiceover actors, all in the studio, all working, filming, capturing, the performances. Um, it was so very active. And then everything shut down. And then it was like, we're filming everybody in the dark and just recording because everyone was remote. So it's just pretty remarkable that we're so close to a finish line now.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to see the movie. I hope we get a release date soon. I hope it's going to be in theaters. But for now, we'll keep our eyes peeled on your account. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. We should do another one of these on TikTok soon.
You let me know. I'll be there.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.